That feeling when you're trying to get caught up and yesterday morning you record some team season recaps and you do the Broncos and the Seahawks back to back. And in both of those videos, you spend a heavy amount of time talking about the quarterback position in different ways. Are the Broncos going to go after Aaron Rodgers? They have to go after Aaron Rodgers. Are the Seahawks going to keep Russell Wilson? If they aren't, why would they keep Pete Carroll? If they are, why would they keep Pete Carroll? Just to see by the afternoon, those videos were obsolete. I'm going to have to re-record them based off of the news we saw come out yesterday afternoon. Or morning, or whenever the hell happened. I saw it in the afternoon. And that is the big blockbuster trade that went down between the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, where the Seattle Seahawks are sending Russell Wilson, that's right, Russ, is now going to cook in the mile-high air of Denver after spending a decade with the Seahawks. The Seahawks have sent Russell Wilson, I think it was a fourth-round pick, to the Denver Broncos, and in return, the Broncos are giving up 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, I believe a 5th-round pick, Drew Lock, former first-round pick Noah Fant, another defensive player I can't remember the name of, my apologies, I think Harris. That's a lot. This is a big deal. These types of trades don't go down every day. And it's amazing how, where I'll talk about in my next video, Aaron Rodgers returning to the Green Bay Packers was looking to be the big news of the day until it totally wasn't and became a secondary story because of this massive seismic trade between these two teams. And I'll say this, first for the Denver Broncos. They're in a spot that they have to have a quarterback. And there's no guarantee of being able to find one in the draft. And they clearly are afraid of trying to find one and develop one in the draft. So you have to do whatever it takes to go find that dude. And especially when you're in a division where you have to face Mahomes twice a year, Justin Herbert twice a year, Derek Carr twice a year, you better have a damn quarterback. A damn quarterback that can play to that level or better. And what's really crazy about it is you look at the way that this trade has went down. You're bringing in Russell Wilson, but you're also trading away one of the weapons that he would potentially have to play with in Noah Fant. You're basically saying, if you're the Denver Broncos, that you think you can win now. And you think that you are a quarterback away. Now, I think that's slightly delusional. They're more than a quarterback away. But they are certainly, most importantly, were a quarterback away. Like, they weren't going to do shit until they solved that position. And this, you could at least say they have solved that position. Is the price too much or not? Ultimately, time will tell. But reality is the price didn't freaking matter. Based off of the way the Broncos are set up, the way they're sitting right now, it did not matter. They had to make this deal. If you have a chance to acquire a Russell Wilson, you do that if you're the Broncos 100 out of 100 times. Especially if Aaron Rodgers is dragging his feet, especially if you look at the draft and you don't see a more viable option there, especially if you look at the rest of the quarterback market and you don't see any other alternative, like you're going to have to pay a premium price for a guy, even if you're worried about, hey, he's going into his age 34 season, how are his skills going to translate as he continues to age, how much longer is he actually going to play and be able to play at a high level, are you a little concerned about the less than elite level play that he had in 2021? Those are all important questions to solve for, but the Broncos had no choice here. The price is fair, all things considered. Sure, it's a big price, but what were you going to do with those picks otherwise? Still not have a quarterback. Now you have a quarterback. It's just crazy to me to think that in that division, Derek Carr is going to be the worst quarterback. And that's a 8 to 12 in the league type of guy. Like, Derek Carr is a pretty damn good quarterback. And he might be the worst quarterback in the division. That AFC West is going to be a fucking brutal fight now. Like, this was potentially a game changer for the Broncos, the AFC West. It may not be, because they are more than a quarterback away. But this was a start. This is where it had to start. As far as for the Seattle Seahawks, this is where it gets interesting. is you take this and combine this with the news of the Bobby Wagner release decision yesterday. It was a rough day for Seahawks fans. Both the legit ones that go way back in time and the ones that joined the bandwagon during the Legion of Boom days. It's still a tough day for them. So you're talking about two guys from that same 2012 draft, Bobby Wagner, the second-round pick out of Utah State, Russell Wilson, the third-round pick out of Wisconsin. These were two guys, the quarterback of your defense, the quarterback of your offense, that were, franchise players for almost a decade, and they're now gone in a span of a single day. And I say this, that if you're the Seahawks, you had Russell Wilson for 14 out of 17 games last year, and you still finished 7-10. Like, there, at least to me, is some type of acknowledgement of them understanding that their window was closed. Right or wrong, fair or not, that's the determination they made. Was that, well, yes, we actually have a franchise, elite-level type of quarterback, but we're not doing anything with them, so it's time to rethink this and time to move on and time to get when we can. And for that, I do applaud the Seahawks. Because if you drag your feet and you wait another year or two to trade Russell Wilson, you might not get as much back. And especially if you're here believing some of the reports where Russell Wilson's going to want Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers type of money, which I would certainly expect him to do. He's certainly well within his power to at least go try and get, to ask for. If I'm the Seahawks, I have an incredible amount of hesitancy paying him that much. Especially if I'm not in a spot where I'm a contending team. And paying Wilson that much could potentially hamstring your ability to build the type of supporting cast around him that would enable you to be a championship contender. At this point, if you're talking about the Seahawks, like, you went this far already, you got rid of Russ, you got rid of Bobby Wagner, why stop there? You should be looking to trade DK Metcalf because somebody's going to give you at least a first and probably third-round pick for him. Go get the damn deal done. If you're going to tear it down and you're going to rebuild, then you have to go all the way. The Seahawks now get a tremendous amount of draft capital back, which strengthens their position in both the 2022 and 2023 drafts. It does call into question the wisdom of, you gave up 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams just to 2 years later trade away the franchise quarterback, which would have been an impetus for why you brought in the box safety that you gave up 2 first-round picks for, because you were going all in. Now you're not going all in. You're going the absolute opposite of all in. You're tearing it down and rebuilding. It's a fair question. Got to think about trading Jamal Adams now. But you got to go all in. You can question the logic of, you could literally spend generations trying to find that guy at the quarterback position, and now the Seahawks seem like they couldn't wait to get rid of him. You have to question that logic. Fair enough. But if you look at it honestly, what have they won over the past few years with Russell Wilson being the guy, right? Like, you talk about the Legion of Boom years of 2013, 2014, like, Russ was good, but he wasn't elite-level Russ at that time. The defense and Marshawn Lynch were the most important parts of that team, not Russ. He was an important player, but he wasn't the dude. When he has been the dude, how's that went? So, yeah, it's worth criticizing, but it's also worth understanding and saying, you know what? They made a decision that you could argue makes sense. The biggest thing that I question about this whole deal for the Seattle Seahawks, though, is you trade away the 33, almost 34-year-old, I believe, franchise quarterback that's been the guy for a decade for you. You release, to get nothing in return, for the 31-year-old middle linebacker, future Hall of Famer, just like Russell Wilson's a future Hall of Famer, so is Bobby Wagner, to get nothing in return. And you're going to start the rebuild with a 70-year-old head coach. How does that make any damn sense whatsoever? If you're going to go young, go young. If you're going to rebuild, then rebuild, and rebuild with a guy that can have the right level of patience to be able to work with the young players, because he's going to be there for several years. You have to wonder how many years Pete Carroll's going to coach, period. He's already 70 years old. I don't care how young he acts. I don't care about his energy levels or anything else. At some point in time, you got to question, like, do you continue wanting to have this 70-plus-year-old man in charge of your rebuild? And also, if we're talking about the Seahawks here, if you're a Seahawks fan, it is fair to criticize what the hell good do all these extra first and second round picks do for an organization with John Schneider and Pete Carroll that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing in the draft in recent years? That is a valid question. I would feel even better about this deal for the Seahawks if you said to me, hey, they have a general manager and head coach that have clearly demonstrated they know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to the NFL draft, so giving them more draft pick capital, this rebuild might happen in short order, and it might be a great thing for the organization in the long term, and it kicks out a future contention, championship contending window that could last longer than the Legion of Boom time did. But you don't have that in Seattle. So I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are about this deal for Denver, this deal for Seattle. For Denver, they had to do it. They literally were in a spot where they had no other choice. And especially once Rodgers wasn't going to come available, they had to make this move. As far as the Seahawks, I don't know about that. I'd go either way with that one. But I just really question. You can give all the draft picks in the world to the Seahawks. What the hell makes you think that they're going to do right by them?